Hello, everyone, and welcome back to OneSoccer. I am your host for today, Josh Deming, and we are here with the anticipated March roster drop. Sources are telling me it won't be until 3:30, so you and I have some time to chat, to theorize around some of the players that may or may not be called up, and to talk about it as soon as the roster indeed does drop. So if you guys have any questions, any interest of any players that you guys want to see, let's get the chat going until it's here. But again, little birdies are telling me in my ear that it is 3:30. So we will have some time just to hang out for now. I will bring up my predicted roster. Alex and I did a video a few days ago where we came together with a 24-man roster, talked about some of the players that were suspended, so we can go through that. And yeah, if they drop it. No, they will. They will. John Herdman is speaking as well to the media at 4 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. So once this stream is done, that video will be packaged and available to OneSoccer's on the OneSoccer YouTube channel. So hang out with me, react to the news as well as when the stream is dropped. But afterwards, keep an eye on the YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe because there will be the Herdman. First time Herdman spoke to the media too since the links to the New Zealand job. So until then, guys, like I said, I'm going to pull up my predicted roster that Alex and I did, and we can determine whether, we failed miserably or, we were close. And yeah, get your comments in, guys. Let me know what surprise packages you guys would like to see. Let me just pull this up because I think this will be interesting. And if it does drop, also let me know. I'm told 3:30. But who knows? Maybe this is higher than my pay grade. But this is what we built here. But let's get in the chat, guys. If you're joining us, be sure to drop a like and let me know what players you would and would not like to see, as we got one already. I'd really like to see Hebert get a chance. I would too. And if any of you guys have not seen the interview Alex and I did with Kyle Hebert, I really recommend it. He has an incredible story. He's definitely has his mind set on playing for the Canadian men's national team. So that was one of my favorite interviews I've ever done. He's a very, very intelligent man. So yeah, I'm really cheering for him as well. And in terms of center back depth, I mean, look at it. Like this is the beautiful, little chart we have here. I think Alex and I did put Hebert in over Zator, but we know Zator is going. So I actually just swapped Hebert out. It is going to be difficult, the fact that Zator got this call up, because he's still probably a Waterman, a Vittoria, Cornelius, Miller. We even left out both Kennedy and Hebert. So it's definitely tricky. And this is one of the most intriguing windows as well, because this is the first window after the World Cup, meaning that we are going to get a clear message on what John Herdman wants to do. Does he want to build towards 2026, which he obviously does, but how far in advance? Is he going to start now with players like Sean Rea? Are we going to see Steven Vittoria's? I mean, Vittoria deserves to be on this team right now with the way he's playing, but the man's 36. So I don't know. I'm very intrigued to see what type of players come in. And we have 2 CPL alum that have been called up. That's already been talked about, which is Zator and Laturi, which I'm very excited about. I've heard that Zator and Dane St. Clair are confirmed so far. Yes, that's all I've seen. And Laturi, again, I mean, Wheeler broke that on OneSoccer today, and from what I've been told as well, behind the scenes, that Laturi's pretty much confirmed. So a couple new faces there, Zator and Laturi, which, like I said, I mean, a couple of CPL alum guys. It's exciting. It's exciting stuff. But both deserved. I mean, Zator going to Poland, he has fit that league like a glove. He's playing as a right back, which I don't think that will help him get on the pitch for Canada. But, he can play as a center back, as we know. Forwards, we got David, Laren, Cavallini, and Ugbo. That is who I have as well. And yeah, take a look at the list. And let me know if you like or don't like anything. But injuries that we think are there, like Piet, we don't know how serious it is. There's Hoylett. We don't know what is going to happen with Hutch. Kennedy, Kripo. Kennedy's not really injured, but he's coming back from injury. And then we have Edwards and Johnston on Reds, which is probably going to mean that Johnston won't be in this window. Not Johnston. Edwards won't be in this window, just, because it's difficult to bring a player. They're probably going to bring around that 23 to 24 man squad, I'd assume. Hey, Josh, how you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing good. With Leturi and Zator news, it shows how important the CPL is in building depth from the program. 100%. 100%. It's super cool. It's super cool for the Premier League. It's what this league is about. It's to build talent, it's to grow talent, see them take steps on to Major League Soccer, to the national team, to go abroad and find success the way that Leturi and Zator have. They're incredible stories. They really, truly are. But that is what this league is about. That's why we love covering it. Atakubi, Davies, Schaffelberg, Kone, Azorio, Eustachio, Kay, Leturi, Hutchinson, Buchanan, Larea. I'm curious about Hutch. I'm very curious about Hutch. Again, similar to Vittoria. Except Vittoria is playing week in and week out right now. He more than likely. I mean, I'm very confident. He's gonna be there. I am. But Hutch is interesting because he just doesn't play a lot right now. I don't know exactly what his future has in store. I know I've heard whispers of a coaching career that could be on the horizon for Atiba Hutchinson. He's going to obviously probably finish out the season right now with Besiktas. Hopefully they get Victor as South Sudan is sniffing around. They are. Yeah, he was Leturi was called up with his brother to South Sudan in that roster, but it seems like Canada, got the final say. But I mean, still very cool. Hopefully, Akio is going to enjoy a nice little international career with South Sudan. I believe he's got to be close to pretty much being cap-tied fully right now. But it was great to see Leturi come up with the national team. In my opinion, a position I truthfully believe that Canada desperately need. That is that sixth position. Hebert should be in the squad. He really impressed me with St. Louis. He has, which is fantastic because, again, when we're looking at positions, it is at spine. There's 3 positions in my eyes that Canada would like a little bit more depth. The 6 is the biggest concern to me personally. We do have some decent center backs, like we're saying, Kennedy, Cornelius, Miller. In the roster I just did, I don't even have Kennedy or Hebert on it, so it's great to see. And we obviously, at some point down the line, do need a 10. That is something that would be very important to us. But for the time being, the way that we play, I desperately think a 6 is going to be just crucial. But center backs are also important as well. And Hebert, the way he's playing with St. Louis, what a story. St. Louis 3-0-0 for expansion team. Hebert playing fantastic. He's been in the team of the week for MLS. 25-year-old Canadian coming out of kind of nowhere. We did an interview with him, guys. So if you want to learn more about Hebert, check that out. It's honestly, not being biased, I mean, it was Alex and I's interview, but Hebert was fantastic. One of my truly favorite interviews. And I wish him a lot of success. And I know he's got desires on the national team. So it'd be pretty cool to see him call up. For the defenders, we got Cornelius, Kennedy, Vittoria, Hebert, Johnston, Zator. So who did you leave out? I'm not sure if you're saying that that's in replacement of who I put. But yeah, Derek Cornelius is really finding a home as well in Sweden, which is great to see. I'm pro seeing Derek Cornelius even potentially start a match, but that's just me. But I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I've wanted to see for a while now, Cornelius potentially even start with another lefty like Miller or Kennedy, but it doesn't seem to be something John Herdman is wanting to do. Any chance any of the stars sit out considering the long season coming off the World Cup and comments on schedule made last summer? I mean, you never know. I personally don't think so. Obviously, we'll have more of an idea when the roster is released, but I'm expecting all the big names there. And I'm expecting that because it's a shorter window. It's 2 matches. I'd assume the majority of the player that will start probably will end up starting both games, the core players, but I don't know. It's again, this is a very intriguing window. First one after the World Cup. I think some of the players that will be involved are going to be statements on where this program is going and what direction of players they want to bring into the national team right now. Doesn't mean that a Vittoria can't be there for the next couple seasons, but we know he's probably not going to be there until for the next World Cup, just given his age. So I'm intrigued. I truthfully am. And we already got a couple of surprises. When me and Alex did this video, nothing against Zator. I don't know. I just didn't think that he would have snuck his way on the squad. And I'm really excited for him that he did it. So there could be a couple more surprises on the horizon. And guys, when the roster drops, just spam the chat because I will bring it up. This is me and Alex's prediction, which I was already wrong because I had to swap Hebert for Zator. So that's fine, But we did put Leturi in there, which is, nice little flex. No Raposo on bubble list. No, I got Raposo in there, my man. Look at that. We got Ryan Raposo in. I mean, I just think with the form, the versatility right now, I'm not convinced that he will be brought in over like a Liam Miller. I personally don't think Corbiano will get called in. I think there's a chance maybe a Jaden Nelson, because we've been told that Herdman is a big fan. I think there's probably a strong chance that Liam Miller will probably be in there over Raposo, but this list was a mixture of what we like to see / what we think is going to happen. But I do think Raposo deserves a shot for sure. Also, what about Abzi? Abzi's another decent shout. I didn't put him on here just because of the quality of left backs that we have at our disposal right now. I'm torn on Abzi if he would be one of those options. I mean, he should definitely be on my bubble list. So I am actually going to add him right now. Thank you for that. But yeah, I mean, there's a chance. We're talking about CPL players. There's a bit of a theme going on here, so you never know. But my logic behind that is when you look at Herdman's previous squads, it seems like they like to carry just Atakubi, the odd time Edwards. And if you look at that, it's because you have a player like, I mean, if you play with wing backs, you can obviously play Davies at the left wing back. We've seen Buchanan play at left wing back. Atakubi can play at left wing back. He can play at left back. And you can also play Richie Larea at left back, which we've seen a lot. So like the versatility of a lot of these players can cover that left back position, which is why I think it might be a little bit hard for an Abzi to break into this potential side. But again, that CPL connection going on right now, you never know. Schaff is in great form. He needs to be there. I agree. I'm big on Jacob Schaffelberg right now. He's playing so well with Nashville. He's doing it with some big players like Hani Mukhtar. He's scoring goals. He just looks confident. I think that this is a player that, in my eyes, if it's him or like a Liam Miller, I'm leaning towards Schaffelberg given the fact that he's playing, he's scoring, he's producing. He's been with the national team before. But again, that's just me. Herdman has shown loyalty to specific players in the past, but that was because they're preparing for World Cup. This is the beginning. This is the very beginning of a brand new cycle, which is why I truthfully believe this could be one of the most interesting rosters we get for a while. But let me know. Who would you like to see get called up for the Canadian men's national team? Nick says he's torn on Hutch. Maybe have him there for a farewell. I don't like. This is my opinion. I don't know. I'm assuming Hutch is probably done with the national team. If anything, he may get like a farewell game because he deserves it. I don't know if the World Cup. Maybe Hutch wanted the World Cup game to be his final one. I'm not 100% sure. But however it's going to be handled, I know it's going to be handled properly because this is a legend of Canadian soccer. He has done so much for this program through the lowest of lows to the highest of highs that we've recently had. So whatever Hutch probably wants is probably what he's going to get. I'd like to maybe see him get a farewell. But but it's a roster, so I don't know. But like, for example, you could potentially see him come on and get subbed off in the 13th minute, number 13, you know what I mean there? Or maybe go on for the last 13. I don't know. We'll have to see. Yeah, this is a speculated list, guys. Anyone who's seeing this list right now, this is not it. This is what we predicted a week ago or whatever it was. So this is not the list. I will bring up the list once it actually gets dropped by Soccer Canada. Canada Soccer has not tweeted yet. So not yet. But when it is up, it will go up there. Josh, with the possible 2 wins, Canada will finish first in the group, right? Yes, they will. And I plan on going to the game at BMO, so I'm very excited for that. We have Johnson out first game. We do, which is probably why like you'd see like a Richie Larea probably start in place of him. Maybe that's why we saw Zator. If you play in that back three, maybe Zator comes in because he's been playing at right back. He can play in a back three. He is a center back, but I don't know. I find it hard. Like, if I'm going to predict a starting 11 for that first game, knowing that Alistair Johnston's out, I would probably guess 4-4-2. I would say, again, more than likely Borjan, even though I'm not against St. Clair starting. Larea, Vittoria, Miller, Atakubi. It'd be Larea over Johnston, and then Buchanan, Kone, Eustachio, Davies, David Laren. That's what I would expect to see. It's probably the easiest starting 11 to put together right now based on just, form. But you never know. If it's a back three, it could shake things up. Any shot at Koleosho or Jebison being called up? I don't think so. That would be a nice, pleasant surprise. But I mean, with the news going around Koleosho, it doesn't look like he's going to be involved. But again, I haven't talked to him, so I have no idea really about what's going on. But just from what you hear, I would say probably no to both. But who knows? Hopefully, maybe I'm proved wrong in a few minutes whenever this thing drops. About 13 minutes away. But the Koleosho one is definitely interesting. He has options, and that just makes it difficult. I mean, we brought him in camp. I don't know exactly how his experience was in there. But Daniel Jebson, I still believe, is probably a little bit of ways. I do believe at one point Jebson will probably play for us. Again, personal opinion. But I don't think quite yet. He did get the start yesterday for Sheffield United, which was good to see. Do you think any other dual nats other than Laturi even? Well, I mean, Raposo, I put Raposo on this. So Raposo is a dual national, which was, for a lot of you guys who, if you don't know, he's eligible for Portugal, he's eligible for China, and he's eligible for Canada. And China is definitely probably sniffing around a player like Ryan Raposo. So he is a dual nat. And he's a dual nat where, if probably a couple more years down the line, if something wasn't going to happen with Canada, maybe an option like China would intrigue him. So Raposo is a dual nat. Even like a role that Koleosho had. I don't know about this window. Again, like unless you count like a player like Raposo. I mean, Laturi was, in my eyes, fantastic to get in. But I don't think besides those two, but I mean, who knows? Who knows? We've already got a couple of surprises with Laturi and Zatora kind of being leaked already. But again, if you're just asking me straight up, no, I don't think that there's going to be a dual national like the role that Koleosho had. We should be playing the 3-5-2 to get the most out of our starters. Davies needs to play wing back going forward. He can. I just think in that first match without Alistair Johnson, I thought they were probably going to go with the 4-4-2. But you could definitely see them switch to a back three for Honduras, and then Johnston's back, and it's difficult though, because try to put together like this starting. Because I'm assuming that maybe if you did that, you would put Buchanan at wing back, so you'd go Borjan in net, Buchanan, Johnston, Vittoria, Miller, Atakubi. No. Yeah. Atakubi, put Davies in the middle with Eustachio, Kone, and then Laren and David up front. It's a little bit tricky because if you do the wing back and you want Davies playing there, then Atakubi would have to be the one who's dropped. And then you either drop Lare or Buchanan. It's tricky. It's tricky. I do think that the back three will definitely still be utilized. I just don't know if we'll see it this window. I kind of have a feeling that maybe he'll go 4-4-2 for both. No, Johnston is suspended for Curaçao, so that's why I was like 4-4-2 Larea. That just kind of makes the most sense to me. We need to win the Nations League, Copa America, Gold Cup, win the 2026 World Cup, and home soil. Yeah, big year this one, and honestly, the next 3-4 years are going to be pretty big for this national team. My bad. Just noticed Raposo. No problem. Yeah, Raposo, again, is just an interesting profile. I love the fact that he started as a number 10, which I don't know if a lot of you guys know that, but Raposo played as a 10, and you've seen him feature at left back, left wing back, right wing back. He can play in the middle. He's a very versatile player, and he's having a really good season right now with like the start to the season with the Whitecaps. And if you can keep that going at a consistent level, maybe this call-up came a little bit too early for him, and maybe Hebert as well. It's a very small sample size to bring in a player like that, but I am hoping that, at the end of the day, we could potentially see him called up, because I think that both of those players could be very useful to this national team. And if you know anything about me, you know that I'm pro going after dual nationals. Just, why not? Why not go after players that could help bring the depth of this national team to another level, something that we haven't seen in a very long time. Matthew Chouanier is another interesting player that I didn't put on here. Again, you could maybe see him for a Raposo, because he's, a very versatile player. He can play at left wing back, center mid, cam. He's a little bit all over the place. So you could see a surprise like that. And we saw him in the last camp just before the World Cup with the MLS squad. How long before Sean Rea becomes an option for the national team side? I don't think very long. And you can see how quick stuff moves when you are a young talent breaking out. Look at Ismail Kone's rise. It happened overnight. It happened just like that. However, CF Montreal were playing a lot better when that was happening. So CF Montreal still have not scored yet. They are 0-3. So give a little bit of time for Sean Rea, but the opportunity for young Canadians to thrive at the Major League Soccer level with CF Montreal is there. We've seen it with Ismail Kone. It came out of almost absolutely nowhere to take that step to become a regular and an important figure for Montreal. Went over to the national team. He got a move to Europe. He's playing in the championship right now. He played very well midweek as well. So I don't think it's that long. He just needs to, again, at that age, hopefully find a run of consistent performances with Montreal. Hopefully produce. They're desperately looking for goals. They're looking for a creative player, looking for anything to spark this team. And hopefully Sean Rea is that. Yeah, we didn't put in Luca Petrasso, but he's definitely another one for that left back option. He's a more natural left back. Obviously, he had a couple of big matches against Tigres as well. He could be one for the future. But again, just for this roster that we came up with, we went with a little bit more versatility, which is why, Raposo. But again, I want to stress that this is not the roster. I'm just waiting for Canada Soccer to tweet it out, but they are taking their sweet time. I prefer Rea over K. Yeah, the number one comment we got from the video that Alex and I did on this was Mark Anthony K. And I mean, it's just wild. And not even that long ago. It's just how things can change so quickly. He was such an important player for this national team. I thought he was going to be kind of the player to play alongside Eustachio. In his form at club level really, really dipped. He's not off to the best start this year either. So I don't know. There's a player in there at the age 2. He can still do something for this national team. And I just have a feeling Herdman will include him. But I agree. Like he needs to find that form back at TFC, because right now, like I said, just the fact that the comments were just kept coming in being like, wouldn't have K here. And, I get it. Farsi should be on the list as well. He should. And Farsi is someone I've talked about a lot, and I know that there's interest from Algeria, so he's definitely another dual national. Again, in terms of sample size, and maybe it's not fair because it's not like Kone had a massive sample size before he got picked up. He was playing regularly at the MLS level, got brought in. That's basically what Hebert is doing. That's basically what Farsi is doing. But given the position of Farsi and the fact that we have like Larea and Johnston already there, maybe like a guy like Raposo or someone like that, someone like another versatile player. I don't know. I think it maybe came a little too early for Farsi, but I would love to see him called up as well. Yet another player who played in the Canadian Premier League. So you never know, guys. Abzi, Farsi, these players that keep coming from the CPL. There's an opportunity there. There definitely is. Ray has not shown enough yet at MLS. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. But like I said, I do think the opportunity for him this season is absolutely there, and you can just see it from the start of this. You can just see from the start of this season. They're looking for goals. They're looking for creativity. It's an opportunity for Rea, but so far, not so good for CF Montreal, unfortunately. But hopefully they'll turn it around. Waterman isn't out. Is out? Is it out or isn't out? Waterman isn't out injuries list. Montreal at the moment. Yeah, again, guys, this isn't the final one. So injuries definitely could take a play. This was just something we were playing with. I wanted just a graphic for you guys to look at. I did not see anything on Waterman though. So anyone, I didn't see the injury list. But if he's on the injury list, then again, maybe that opportunity for Hebert is right there. Right there. I don't think Fraser makes a squad anymore. Belgian second division can't cut it. I know. I'm a big fan of Liam Fraser, and I genuinely think that he's played very, very well for Canada when he's had those opportunities. I want to see him go back to MLS. I don't care which club. I really don't. Like I thought he showed promise when he was with the Crew, and I was excited. I thought maybe TFC would bring him back in and kind of get him in the fold, and instead he went over to Belgium, and I was excited until I realized that it was a second division side, and it was just to me a bit of a head scratcher. But I agree. I think Fraser needs to sort out his club career right now before kind of getting back in the national team. But again, he can play in that 6th position, and this is an opportunity for him. It's why, in my eyes, Victor Laturi is here. He's doing it right now in Scotland. He's playing well. He's definitely developing his game, and we are very, very desperate for that position. So it's a great story for Victor Leturi and really excited to see him in there. Oh, that's a very interesting question. I got a question for who is going to be Canada's captain at the 2026 World Cup. Let me know in the comments, guys. Who do you think is going to be the captain? Canada's next captain. And now, again, assuming all three of these guys won't be there. I mean, you had Hutch, he's not going to be there. You have Borjan, who I'm assuming is not going to be there, even though keepers can play for a long time. But let's just say he's not going to be to get a more interesting answer. Victoria, again, I don't think so. That's a good question. I would assume Davies would be the front runner. I think that would make a lot of sense. I think a guy like Alistair Johnston is someone I would personally give it to. And then maybe Osorio, if he can stay in the starting 11 / Eustachio. But I would say, I mean, my pick would be Johnston, but I assume it'll probably be Davies. Carducci, yeah. Hey, I mean, I put Jonathan Sirwa, again, another ex-CPL player as the third string keeper right now, but I'm a big fan of Marco Carducci. I really am. I think that he could easily play at MLS level. I don't know if he'll have to do that if he ever wants to be a part of the national team, but he's been pretty much my favorite keeper to watch. Hey, it's here. It's here. It's finally here, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we're bringing it up. No more of this prediction, guys. Let's get it going. Drop a like, guys. It is time. I'm excited. Like I said, I'm very intrigued around this specific. All right, where is it? Oh, did I break it? Oh my gosh, load. All right, one sec. That's not what I wanted to do. Oh, it's an article. All right, well, never mind. We're going back to it. I thought it was a picture and it wasn't loading. I was so confused. All right, well, it's here. So, ladies and gentlemen. All right. We already got a surprise from the second name on the list. Here we go. A lot of comments. So sorry, guys, if I will try to get to as many of the comments as I possibly can. But let's go through this. This is interesting. All right, so just seeing if I'm having anyone join me for this stream. But it looks like it's just going to be for right now. So let's start off with the keepers. Milan Borjan, Tom McGrill, and Dane St. Clair. So that third keeper we said was going to be a surprise, and it was. I genuinely thought it was going to be. Wow. So if anyone who doesn't know, I believe and it's funny because you guys were talking about dual nationals. Wow. So Tom McGrill, for you guys who don't know, plays on Brighton Hove Albion. He's played at the U17 level, and he was born in Canada. So a dual nat. All right. Got a smile on my face. Damn. Okay, I didn't know. I genuinely did not see that coming. But there's a dual national. That is what this is about. I love it. I love that type of recruitment. Like a lot of you guys probably don't know who Tom McGrill is. I know of him because he's in the Canadians abroad depth chart I have, but again, I've never personally covered him on Canadians abroad because I genuinely just didn't think he'd be an option for Canada quite yet. But that's wild. All right. So we got a third, I'm assuming the third string keeper, 22-year-old Tom McGrill, which would probably, again, be one that Canada wants to nurture, potential starter in the future. Dane St. Clair, Milan Borjan. There is a big surprise there, I'm not going to lie. Moving on to the defenders, we have Atakubi, Cornelius, Johnston, Kennedy, Larea, Miller, Victoria, and Zator. So Kennedy was in there. I'm trying to look at the center backs here. I haven't even looked down the whole list yet, but you have Larea and Johnston as your kind of like right backs. You have Atakubi as the lone left back as expected. So Waterman is not available. So you have Zator, you have Vittoria, you have Miller, and you have Cornelius and Kennedy. So that's not too bad. Tom McGill is I was saying his name wrong. My bad. Sorry, Tom. Tom McGill. I was saying McGrill. That is not what I meant. I just looked down. I'm like, oops, my bad. Yes, McGill. Sorry, I was saying McGrill. My mistake. But I was very exciting dual nat to get. Midfielders are Eustachio, Atiba Hutchinson included as well. Mark Anthony K, Kone, Laturi, Azorio. No massive surprises, except unless you think Hutch is still incredible to see him going. You have Brim, Akinola, Buchanan, David, Davies, and Laren. All right. Wow. No Ugbo. No Hebert. Hutch is there. I'm a little taken back right now. I genuinely was not expecting that. So a couple of swear words in there, so I won't put these comments up, but doesn't look like some of you guys are impressed with Brim. I'm torn. All right, so the strikers, so there's no Cavallini as well, and there's no Ugbo. So clearly there's a sense there. I mean, Ugbo's surprising because, again, he's 24. He will probably be one for the future for Canada as well, but maybe the fact that he's not playing could be a reason behind that. But you have Akinola, which is a big surprise to me. Brim is playing well, and I know Herdman likes Brim, so that's not as big of a surprise. Then you have David and Laren, which, again, are no surprises. Buchanan, Davies are no surprise. Azorio, Laturi was a bit of a surprise, but we got, it was leaked. Kone, K, Hutch is a bit of a surprise to me because, again, I just didn't know what his future had right now with the national team. Maybe this is a farewell. Maybe it's not. Eustachio, Zator with a bit of a surprise, a leak, but excited for him. Vittoria, Miller, Larea, Kennedy, Johnson, Cornelius, Atakubi, not a surprise. And then Borjan and St. Clair, obviously no surprise, but Tom McGill. Nice little dual nat. So really those are, am I doing the math right? Is that 2 dual nats then? McGill and Laturi were the only dual nats to come in here. It's a little different than what I had, but all right, let's see what you guys think. Give me a rating from 1 to 10, guys. How do you guys like this roster from 1 to 10? Because I think this is an intriguing roster. Two dual nats. Losing my mind here. No Schaffelberg, which to me is pretty disappointing. I do see my friend Adam Jenkins behind the scenes, so let me bring him on. I haven't seen Adam in a while. I'm excited to talk with him, see what he thinks. All right. Because there are definitely some surprises in here, but let's bring my guy on.
Hey.
How are you doing?
I'm good, buddy. Just got off an interview with Dominic Zator, so it's nice to catch up with him. Obviously, an exciting day for Dom and for Victor and for the Canadian Premier League as a whole. But like everybody else, I'm going through the list and trying to make sense of it too.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first one stumped me. I mean, first off, I read it wrong. I called him McGrill, so that's just that's on me immediately. But it's McGill. It's Tom McGill. You have any knowledge on McGill? Were you one that you followed at all, or is this a big surprise to you?
The extent of my knowledge, Josh, is I had heard that John and the staff were looking at bringing in a surprise. I would say that classifies as a surprise. With all due respect to Tom McGill, I know nothing about him. I think I've read the same article as everybody else who's Googled him in the last 10 minutes is who is Tom McGill, and it's just born in Canada.
Yep.
So I'm not going to sit here or stand here and be like, listen, guys, here's the whole biography on Tom McGill, who, by the way, I'm sure is a lovely lad, but it sounds like, the default names that FIFA would give you if you're creating a pro.
Yeah.
That was my first thought. I'm like, Tom McGill sounds like a placeholder name for a be a pro or something. But yeah. I think what it shows, there's two things, and like we're gonna hear from John in 25 minutes, so I'm sure he'll give a proper scouting report, and we'll start to get to know him a little bit better. One, there may not be a ton of confidence in the depth of this team under the goalkeeping position, excuse me. I mean, obviously we know Maxime Crépeau is not available. Pantemis has been in before. We've seen Thomas Sassol in and around these international setups. We've seen Sirois' name floated. John would have had that opportunity to reach out and to bring those guys in if they thought they were ready and fit. And clearly that's not the situation. So what you do is you get an English youth international that you don't call up if you're not confident can offer something. What that something is, well, that's for the staff to decide as they see him in these windows or in this window. Do you try and cap tie him and steal him away from England if you rate him that highly? I don't know that England's necessarily pounding on the door to bring him in if he was made available to Canada. And I mean, he grew up in England. He grew up there and was raised from a young age. So I would assume that while there's proud Canadian heritage there with the level, the prestige of England, if the Three Lions had asked, I'm sure he would like to stay, but he's probably at a point in his career too where great to be with Brighton and Hove, but if there's a chance for international football, a chance to be at the World Cup in 26 and play in that atmosphere, I mean, I can't fault anyone. I can't fault Tom McGill. I can't fault anyone who would take that opportunity. Good day for McGill University, though, and the alumni of the Martlets and the Redmen. Or I think they might have rebranded. It doesn't matter, but I'm sure they're probably like, "What's going on Twitter? Why are we trending?" But yeah, that was certainly a surprise for sure.
It was, but I mean, aside from the fact that I was panicking and trying to Google him as well and remembering it was the same guy I was talking about while I was on stream here and butchering his name, it is very exciting to me because we've seen Herdman in Canada do this before with Ike Ugbo. And
Yes.
This is probably a player, like you mentioned, who probably sees his national future up in the air because he's not probably on the radar of England right now. So this is an opportunity for someone like Canada to come in, plan long-term, and bringing a talented young player who I'm sure that we're going to discover, hopefully talk to and learn a lot about. So for me, it's all about these type of moves, and I really like it. And we've seen Canada do it before, and I'm excited to learn a little bit more about this kid and hopefully see him potentially break his way into the Brighton Hove Albion side, because that's definitely a pristine team to be a part of.
Oh, 100%. And like, it's, we're getting to that age, or at least I'm getting to that age where like I'm looking up and down this roster and I'm like, I'm older than half these guys now.
Yeah.
Like what the hell is going on? Tom McGill doesn't turn 23 until next week. I think next Saturday is his 23rd birthday. And I'm like, oh, where's the time gone? But I'm with you. Like it's always exciting to have new faces. And I think what it does is it pushes people. It gives the leaders a chance to reinforce culture, the brotherhood that we hear 1,000 times. I swear to God, one of these days I'm going to make it a drinking game. Brotherhood and transparency and all these words right now. But it's important because it lets the outside world know too what Canada's all about. And I think Victor is going to get that experience right now, obviously with the South Sudan interest, like his brother with William Macchio getting his caps with South Sudan, and for Zator to be back in the team too. You need those players who are close, may or may not feature. I mean, you're starting with Curaçao. You got to win that game. That's got to be your 3-point game. So you'll rotate and try lineups out that will balance rest and progression. But I think Gareth made a really good point on our Matchday live show last night for CONCACAF Champions League. While a lot of supporters and even media types right now are like, well, the World Cup's gone. We know all of these older players. They probably don't feature in 2024. But they're not going anywhere yet because there's so much hardware up for grabs this summer. They should believe that they could be in the Nations League final, that they will go in, have a successful window, make the semis, try and progress to the final, and then you have Gold Cup. So I think it's the windows October, November where you'll start to see a little bit more rotation, and knocking on wood that there's no global pandemic shutdown again, that we can start to see those January camps again where you do get a healthy contingent of not your A team. Because basically, in my opinion, and I think people in the chat feel free to disagree with me, there's still so much here, and you don't want the World Cup hangover in 23, that you push with your core. You want to get back to winning. You're pissed off if you're on that team. You're proud that you made it to Qatar, but you're not satisfied with not having any points. You're not satisfied with only having one goal. So you want to remind everybody, puff your chest out a little bit, that we are the top dogs in CONCACAF. That should be their mentality, and they have an opportunity to go out and prove it. And let's not think that the US and Mexico aren't in their own various states of disarray right now. So it's there for Canada to claim. And then with Copa America rolling around, which is probably the biggest news since Canada qualified for the World Cup, they should be starting to think a little bit more forward and know the pressure, the expectations that will come with 2026. So I think this year is still the go for it. You carry on that momentum. You carry on the form of some of the players in Europe, especially, who are doing incredible things right now. And then you might get a little bit more experimental the end of the year after Gold Cup is done.
And I was saying before you came on that I was really excited for this squad because this will tell us a lot of things. Like I said, Borjan at 35, Vittoria 36, Hutch 39. We don't really know because you know that those three players are important players to the side right now, but obviously won't be there in 2026. But will they still be there? Because like you said, there's stuff to play for. So clearly this is a statement. And I was saying this as well, as there was times that there was players that, again, fit that brotherhood you were talking about leading up to the 2026 World Cup. But now we're seeing maybe a couple of them kind of slip through the cracks. No Lucas Cavallini right now. No Liam Miller. I am intrigued, and I think this is a very good comment. I want to go there right away because a player that I was really hoping, because I thought he deserved a chance, was Jacob Schaffelberg.
Yep.
Brim is in there. So I think we should touch on all three of these players, but we'll start with Schaffelberg, then we'll go to
Sure.
Brim and Akinola. So Jacob Schaffelberg, incredible start to the season. The mullet, the goals.
The mullet. Yeah, thank you. I was going to bring it up if you didn't. It's very important.
It is important because you look good, you play good. He's had a great start, probably the dream start to this season. He's settling in well with Nashville. He's playing with big name players like Ahani Mukhtar and is delivering. What do you think was it about? Do you think it just came a little too early? Why do you think he was left out for a player like either Brim or Akinola?
Yeah, the timing is interesting. A lot of it. Here's the thing about the media and supporters that I'm not educating anybody, but it's worth repeating. It's very easy to get excited about small sample sizes. You see something impressive, you see a good run of form, and you're like, okay, it's time. He's ready. Ring the bell, call him up. It's not that simple, especially when you have a player like Brim who, like, let's be honest, has been a project for this staff for a while. They rate him so incredibly highly, and they're going to have affinity for known quantities, especially as we talk about still wanting to push for trophies and believing you can win trophies. So I think on Brim, there's more of that known commodity. With Schaffelberg, they obviously know him. They've had him in camp. And I think if he keeps up this form, we'll see him this year for sure, especially if he keeps going at the pace he is. And I don't know if it's the Canadian thing playing in the big Toronto market. He just looks free. and I mean, that would be me. I'd be me in Nashville, to be quite honest. But we're going to get to a point with Toronto FC where people in the city or people in the media are going to start to question the academy more. I mean, when was the last big hit? Or these players that are coming in, how often have they been given the chance to succeed and succeeded? So I think two things can be true. It wasn't going to work out in Toronto, and that's a shame because you'd like to see more of these Canadian homegrown players hit, and they're not. And then they get traded away, and they find that like a new lease on life. You come in with, same like we're dealing with Tom McGill right now, Josh. Nobody really knows you. So you get to carve your own path, carve your own impression, make new connections, and just enjoy yourself again. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've noticed from Jacob right now. He needs to work on his celebrations. He needs to maybe believe he's going to score a few more goals and be ready for it. But listen, like that's a young kid that I'd put money on seeing him in 2023 with this team in some capacity. He's playing that well. And who is the third? Sorry, I've talked about the two guys.
Akinola.
Yeah, Akinola. Again, I think it was you pitch and try to bring him into the fold. He agrees. And you want to see you with that one, it's kind of the opposite of Jacob Schaffelberg because you do know him, you know he knows the system and you courted him. You want to see how he can improve within the system. And that'll be the same thing for Dominic Zatorre this window. He told me, look, when he agreed with Jacob almost to the letter, when he was brought in 2019 for that Nations League camp, you're awestruck a little bit. You're trying to figure out where you belong. How do you make an impact? And you're awestruck with some of the names around you, the quality around you. And you don't necessarily have your best windows right away. But as you get more time to mature and get to know what the coaches want and expect, then you get more comfortable. You just play your football and the rest takes care of it. So I would assume that would be what the Canadian staff sees in Akinola. They think there's a chance for him to show growth and to show that he is an option for the future, because this is very clearly looking up and down this team. A lot of known commodities, the core, the players you'd expect who are fit and available, and a few sprinkles of let's see what they can do or let's see where they are compared to when we last saw them.
Yeah, and again, for me, it's a little bit surprising in terms of like the Akinola over an Ugbo. Cavallini at the age of 30 going back to Mexico, kind of maybe made sense. I did still think he'd be in the fold, but what's your thought process, I guess, around an Ike Ubo not being there? Because I mean, there's no getting around the fact that he has not started a match for Troyes since November 4th of 2022. He went 7 consecutive matches without even featuring at all. When he does actually play, he does decently well, but he's just simply not getting that opportunity. You'd think a window like this could give him an opportunity to maybe get a little confidence, get some minutes. But at the same time, saying that, every time Ugbo's really been involved with his national team since he committed to Canada, he has not featured a lot. So do you think it's something along the lines that Herdman just doesn't need what Ugbo's offering right now and wants to go with the Akinola route, or do you think it's maybe just down to form?
Yeah, I think you covered it in that last bit exactly. Like Ugbo is clear. Like he looks like he obviously wants to be there. He wants his minutes. He understands what's in front of him, and it's tough to break through with this forward group. But when you're on a poor run of form, or you're not getting the minutes, that's always been John's thing, right? Like you need to be playing, you need to be minutes, you need to be match fit and in form. And when you're not, it's easy to fall down the pecking chart. And it just seems like if anyone is going to drop in those environments based on perception and form, that's a player you're going to leave out to bring in an Akinola instead, for example, and see if you can get something out of Io that maybe you hadn't been getting out of VK for the past few opportunities that they've been with the national team. So it's something to watch. And yeah, Vincent in the comments, there's Christian Jack saying that Cavallini's hurt, which there's your answer. Like, and there's a lot of that. I think even some of the players that are here, it's mid-season for a lot of these guys. There's Knox, there's Niggles, it's Curaçao first, it's Honduras, and I think if it was two sort of like top CONCACAF nations with more on the line, or at least you think the challenge would be tougher, you might see some of those injuries shelved a little bit more. But I just think this is the extent of the experimentation and the continuity that we would have expected from John Herdman in this particular environment.
And I just want to defend myself here a little bit. So Adam is looking at what I'm looking at right now. And when the roster dropped, it was very hard to read what it said. So I called him McGrill on accident before, obviously, looking back at my notes and understanding he was in the Canadians Abroad chart that was given to me. So my bad, but yes, keep calling.
McDonald's sponsorship incoming.
Yeah,
it's about time to get the Golden Arches on these programs.
Yeah, so that is my bad, Tom. I will not call you that again. But I do want to bring up a player that is the focal point of this picture, Adam, that you and I are looking at, and that is Atiba Hutchinson. I had a comment that was just up here saying that a lot probably thought maybe he'd retire. Last match being 4 at World Cup match was obviously very impressive. Do you think that there's more to the fact that he's still hungry and wanting to play, or do you think that there's maybe a farewell in the near future? I'm a little curious because I truthfully didn't know if Hutchinson would be involved in this camp or not.
Yeah, just said, and again, I don't want to sound too much like a broken record, but to sort of circle back to what I said earlier, I think Atiba knows he's close to the end, and there could be more opportunities for trophies. And Atiba is a damn proud man, as he should be. That's how he carries himself. He is like the warrior gentleman, don't want to get on the wrong side of Atiba. That's the vibe you get. And I think he's one of them that does think he still has more to offer and doesn't want to. You could understand if he said after the World Cup, this is it for me. I've achieved what I wanted to achieve, my dream with this team. I'm ready to go. He's clearly not ready to go. The farewell is interesting. Like, I'm not going to break any news because I don't know for facts, but it's a conversation that's certainly being had. He's Atiba. He's going to get some kind of a farewell. So if there's a chance, and it's not fully out of the question that Canada could potentially host a Gold Cup match, maybe that's more of this is a big stage at home in your own backyard. If it's at BMO, again, none of this is confirmed or necessarily going to happen, but there's a possibility there. It just seems like give him his flowers on the stage that he deserves. And ultimately, it's Atiba's decision. I don't think Atiba's going, John, I don't have it in me anymore, I'm done. And then John groveling for him to stay. This is Atiba saying, I can still give something to this team, whether that's in the environment, whether that's around some of the younger players, and you just don't want to lose Atiba's aura without getting like too over the top with it. But look, Atiba's a competitor, and with my guess, and again, this is me projecting, with everything that's gone on in Turkey and the rumors about him being done and like the just the natural disasters that has sort of brought people together, you would think like those moments might give someone that reason why, or more of a reason why, again, to be a little bit more encouraged and and passionate about it, knowing that it's short-lived. Enjoy your football while you can, and give him a bit of that fight once again. And maybe he is auditioning to come home at some point. We don't know. I don't think Atiba would be included if Atiba didn't want to be included, and they didn't think that there was still something for him to offer.
Yeah, I mean, farewell. I said this before. I mean, it's probably a little unrealistic, but you've seen it with national team players in the past that retire. Maybe start a match, play till the 13th minute, the number he's played for so long, get subbed off at home, the big wave. I don't know if that's more for a friendly versus a competitive match. I don't. I'm assuming Atiba's here to play. That's my eyes.
I would agree, and you're right. I don't think two things are important here. There's a lot going on with the CSA. We all know that right now. There is no way Atiba would be like, Honduras is going to be my last match, and there'd be no promotion about it. If they knew that, and that was the plan, that would be the marketing campaign. Come say goodbye to a national icon. It's not happening against Honduras. Barring some kind of massive seismic change, that's not what's going to happen. And you're also right, Josh, that you wouldn't burn a sub in the 13th minute of a match against Honduras when you're trying to get to the Nations League semifinal. Yeah. It's not happening. So I honestly think it's as simple as Atiba still wants to play, and Atiba still can play. Now we can debate, rightfully so, and reasonable people can disagree, what role he plays in the matches at this point. I think the eye test said a lot about Qatar. We understand everything that went around it with the conditions and the time of year and the heat and all these things, and just how the stamina looked in a very compressed tournament like that was. Is he a starter anymore? You look at the midfielders on here. Yeah, I think in this window he is. If he's ready to go, does he go the full 90? Probably not. But we'll see. This just screams like, looking at who's available. Obviously, the knock to Piet. Atiba starts. Laturi comes in like the 75th minute, 80th minute. Here's your cup of tea. Welcome. I mean, that's a pretty damn impressive player to try and learn off of. And look, Victor is highly rated. CPL fans will know it. And Zach is exactly right. He's Atiba for the longest time, like what Christine is for the women's national team, Atiba is for the men's national team. He gets to decide how, when, where, and every little detail about how he wants to go out. And I think the CSA will accommodate that, and it won't even be a question. It'll be, what do you need? How can we support this?
Yeah, 100% agree. It's going to be something, because he's done so much for this program, from the lowest of lows, highest of highs. He is a true Canadian legend, and I can't wait to see him go out on the terms that he wants to go out for. But let's shift a little bit before we have to wrap up here to some names that were maybe left off the list. We've seen a couple dual nationals, some that you guys are just learning from the first time, coming on here, but there were a few that were also left off. Yeah, I'm just going to give you a couple names here. Daniel Jebison, obviously a player that is, been mentioned a lot. Luca Kolyosho, who's been brought in. There's some recent news around maybe the Italy, I think is the U21 and the US Olympic sides, keeping an eye on Kolyosho, which maybe confuses things a little bit. And then I'll throw one more name in there just because I think it's an incredible story, and that's Kyle Hebert. He is actually a dual national. He is eligible for the US.
Bring him in. He rattled off the pie numbers to an extent that made me go, you nerd, and this is the most impressive thing I've ever seen. For that reason alone, he deserved a call. He just seems like the nicest guy too. Like, especially I don't know, the ecosystem in Canada is getting so big that it's impossible. And you and Alex and everyone do a fantastic job with Canadians abroad. Like, there's times where I throw it on YouTube and I'm like, I've literally never heard of this person before. Kyle is one of those that it's like, yeah, I know of him. I don't know much. I know he's from Winnipeg. I know he played in the NCAA, and I know they rate him. And then he starts to ball out in a position of need for this country. And you're like, hang on a second, Kyle Hebert, what do you got to offer here?
Yeah, we did do an interview with him, Adam. I don't know if you knew that or not, but
I certainly did.
Oh, you did?
Watched every second of it.
Okay, perfect.
I was as impressed with that interview as I was with your spreadsheet to start this stream.
Okay, great.
Spreadsheets are my love language.
You
so
like
you
that.
Nailed it.
That's what the questions were anyways. But no, I mean, you said he was very kind, and he was. He came across as a very genuine person. He seemed very excited about the prospect of playing for the national team, Canada specifically, but he is a dual national. So he does actually fall into that category with Jebison and Kolyosho. But do you think any of the three not being in the squad a surprise to you? I mean, for me, I'll go very quickly first. Jebison is not a surprise to me. I don't think that time has come yet. With the Kolyosho news, also not a surprise. And even if that news wasn't there around Italy and US, I don't think he's done enough right now to even be called back. I did think there was a chance maybe for Hebert to come in, but when I heard about the Zator thing, I was like, okay, maybe not. So what were your thoughts on those three?
Yeah, again, I would lump Hebert into the same pile as chaff right now, which is just see more. Need to see more. St. Louis has been brilliant. Kyle showing that he's not uncomfortable on that stage, MLS, and in that environment, the pressure and the excitement of being the expansion side and the record breaking start that they've had, he's going to get the attention, which is great for him. If St. Louis stays competitive, if Kyle stays in form, he's another one that, as we get later in the year, I would be shocked if he doesn't get called up. Zator seems to me like, again, one of those players that have been in the environment before. There's probably staff checking in several times, whether it's through Dom, through his agent. We're keeping an eye on you. This is what we think you need to improve on. This is how we think you can get back to the team. And look, he's done all that. He's made his European move. And he told me that it was now or never with it. He's 28 years old now. He has a family in Calgary. Like, there are things that made this timing for Dom so important. But he's in his prime. And he's a player that bet on himself, went overseas, and he's doing all the right things. And I think you reward those players for following the order and for following the steps that have been laid out on how to arrive in that environment. The others know Koleosho, and I feel for him because his last camp was the bleep storm in Vancouver. Yeah. And you go, I don't know. I don't know Luka. I don't know how he felt about it, if he was sort of given the heads up about it, but like, that's a tough welcome to a national team environment, and completely out of his control. So if there is serious interest from elsewhere, do you fault the guy for saying, okay, maybe it's a little bit more sane feeling in these environments? And you never know, like he could come back, it may not work out, or he might decide that what he did see, or at least what he heard from the philosophy and what this team wants to be, that it is the right place for him. So didn't surprise me. And then Jebison, I mean, every time his names come up, so many people have poured cold water on it that I've heard, that it just, I'll believe it when I see it. That's sort of how I feel with Daniel. And like, it'd be awesome. It'd be cool. But yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah. With Jebison, I feel like until he's not eligible for at least to play for the U21s for England, he probably will just stick with that route. He probably bank on himself to maybe get into that England squad. And if not, then maybe down the line, Canada, that door will open up. But I agree, for right now, there's absolutely nothing there. But this was still a pretty, like, to me, a pretty surprising list, just given some of the narrative around some of the storylines. I mean, McGill coming in was clearly a surprise, but Zator coming in, Laturi coming in, the fact that Akinola and Brim, which is honestly, to me, besides the fact that I don't know much about Tom McGill, the fact that Akinola and Brim is in, it just, to me, is a shocker. And then, of course, like we mentioned, Hutch. But what is before we have to go here, what is your biggest surprise out of all those names, all those storylines I told you? It could be a player we left out. Maybe the fact that Schaffelberg or Keybert's not there. But from this list right here, what was the biggest surprise to you that happened from the roster drop?
Yeah. Pleasant surprise is Laturi. These are always spoiled because, like, we are in an environment where we often know not the entire list, but pieces of the list in advance. So you see it and you go like, okay, that's the confirmation. We finally see it on paper. We know what's happening. But like Laturi and Zator, we had been hearing from pretty significant sources that they were going to be in. So you lose a bit of that surprise. You're just sort of more feel good that everyone gets to enjoy it with them, because it's been a journey for them. It's a big surprise. There's not a ton, to be honest. Brim, maybe. I think for the reasons you outlined, I think there might have been some other players that could have given a run in that environment. I think I'm going to hold the answer to that, Josh, until we see the matches, because I am fascinated with what he does in the midfield. Just because I think Atiba should be in this camp and think that he's still of a quality to do a job, that doesn't mean I think he should start against Honduras, for example. I want to see how Curaçao goes, how he is deployed, where everyone is comfortably, how that match goes. I mean, if they spank them 6 or 7-0, are you really learning anything from it? But then all of a sudden we're back at BMO. It's basically the anniversary of qualifying for Qatar in that Jamaican match. It'll be like close to how he feels in this moment ahead of a potential Nations League semifinal and final, what his best 11 is with a couple of absences. I would love to see him throw caution to the wind and bring in these players, but go experimental with the lineup. I'd love to see, obviously Eustáquio is not coming out of the team. I really want to see how Victor does. I don't think he's nearly ready to start. Does he think Oso's in the form to start him alongside Steph? Does he trusts Marc-Anthony Kaye, who, in my opinion, hasn't been on the best form for TFC? He's been better from what he had been with the Rapids, but does he try a Steph and a Ishmael Kone. So these are the things like the midfield for me is the most interesting. And then can Kyle translate the form and the confidence he's had from La Liga into this team, start scoring some more goals again, and then Jonathan David. I mean, with all the links, I mean, that guy's damn near close to a move. And anytime he's on the national stage, he wants to be like, yeah, we know Alfonso's here and Alfonso's wonderful, but like, look at me too. I deserve to be looked at and to be paid attention to, not from a Canadian audience, but from a regional and international perspective, because he is closing in on that big money move. So I think he'll be a hungry player.
He's level with goals right now with Mbappe, so if that's not getting noticed, I don't know what is. But no, I agree with you.
I saw that stat this morning again. I checked, but even just to hear it out loud, it just that like unbridled chuckle comes out. I adore it so much.
No, it's perfect. But I agree. The midfield will definitely be interesting, and I think everyone's gonna be very aware, Adam and I too, that if and how Atiba is used, it will depending on obviously his form, where he's at right now with his legs. He's not going to be that guy. He is not that guy anymore to play all those minutes. But we know
that guy, pal.
No, he's not that guy. But he is an absolute animal when he can be used for that, like say 25 plus minutes towards the end of the game. I bet you he can do a job, especially looking at the depth we have in the midfield. And I expect him to probably feature in one, if not both of these matches. But
here, look, I know we got to wrap, so let me make this very, very quick. I'm at the same stage with Atiba that I'm getting to with Christine Sinclair. Yeah. They are impactful. They are legends. But I think, like, put yourself in this frame of mind. Would you rather have youthful legs for an hour, for 70, 75 minutes, and then bring in players that you know exactly what you're going to get? In Christine's case, if you need a goal, put her on as a super sub. Atiba, you need to shut the game down. Put him on as a general out there. To me, like, that's where that narrative with those two players is going to have to start going sooner rather than later, because we saw that Atiba doesn't have the legs that he used to. And like, time is undefeated. It's not a slight on Atiba. It's just science. He's defied it for long enough. But I think it's going to start to be interesting to see them transition into the finishing role, as opposed to the constant presence in the 11. But last time I checked, Josh, you don't have your UEFA Pro. I don't have my UEFA Pro. We're just really good at speaking and guessing. So
exactly.
And we are good at it. Don't get me wrong. We're very good at it. But listen, like the coaches have their systems, they have their philosophies, and I think sometimes they can be stubborn, but that's because they believe in a certain attribute in somebody. So we'll see. That's the best part about these windows. We get the roster, we can start guessing, and then see how right or wrong we were on our assessments once the balls are actually kicked.
Yeah, and you made an excellent point. I mean, why wouldn't you want a player of his experience coming on for the last 20 minutes? He's got the legs to do that. You know that for sure from Atiba. So I 100% agree. I'll throw it to you to give the little exit cue towards Herdman, but I'll just quickly, we did put up a video of this player versus that player, and it was funny that most of the players we talked about did not make the squad, but Victor Laturi did, which was exciting. And for me, my biggest surprise, honestly, was Zakanola. I really just didn't see that one coming. Yeah. I'm excited for him. This is a giant opportunity. But Adam, if you want to carry it out and let the viewers maybe know about when the Herdman interview will be on, or the Herdman statements will be on YouTube after. But it was great to see it once again, Adam. But yeah,
I'll wave with my left hand. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we will get keep an eye on the YouTube channel. Subscribe if you guys are new, because Herdman is talking with the media now. First time since being linked to New Zealand. So who knows what's all going to be going down there. But yeah, keep an eye. That video will be posted later. And Adam, as always, appreciate you coming on, and we'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate you, Mr. Deming. Talk to you soon.
All right. Cheers, friends.
Bye, chat.